First option, cochlear implants. What is a cochlear implant? A cochlear implant is a small device that is surgically implemented above the ear to give a sense of sound to the patient. How exactly does a cochlear implant work? Excellent question! A cochlear implant sends waves through the auditory nerve, regardless of one's degree of deafness, to the brain for the purpose of sound recognition in various environments. Why should I even consider a cochlear implant? Isn't it dangerous? To answer your question, all surgeries come with potential risk. That being said, this is a surgery that deals with connections to the brain. Risks such as infection, paralysis, and the possibility of permanent inner ear damage with zero chance of retaining any amount of hearing are all concerns. Okay, that did not convince me. Very true. Now, despite the potential risks a cochlear implant includes, there are many positive factors to undergoing this procedure. For one, the person is being granted with the gift of hearing. They will most likely be able to recognize voices, environmental sounds, and sometimes even music. Along with this, there is a slim 8.3% chance of device failure. Are there any reasons I may not want to consider a cochlear implant? Of course there are. Not only is the surgery scary and tricky, but there is a possibility of failure. Plus, the cost of an average cochlear implant is $100,000 without insurance. Also, many recipients do not enjoy their successful cochlear implant because sounds irritate them. A world of silence is being newly shattered, and it may take a while to become adjusted. Alright, you have me convinced. So, whether I did or did not wish to give my child a cochlear implant, where would he or she attend school? Another excellent question! Hearing schools versus deaf schools. Public hearing institutions are required by law under the Americans with Disabilities Act to provide any necessities such as an interpreter or assistive hearing devices upon the request of a person lawfully considered deaf. With this, hearing institutions are generally full of hearing children, and it can be difficult for a deaf child without oralism to adjust. Sometimes, deaf children are separated from hearing students and are forced to take classes with students who need special education classes. Deaf institutions, on the other hand, are often boarding schools. Therefore, it can be difficult for families to choose to send a child from another area away from home at an early age. Deaf institutions stray from traditional hearing learning curriculum. Thus, the child's education cannot be monitored by a legal guardian. Despite this, deaf children will be fully immersed within their culture and will usually obtain a sense of belonging in their school, but may struggle in returning to the hearing world. ASL classes versus lip reading classes. ASL classes will grant the child the sense of identity. They will have their own language and will be able to communicate effectively with their hands. Hearing parents do not have to understand ASL for their child to sign. It would, however, be helpful with communication if both parties understood each other's languages. Lip reading classes will equip a deaf child for the hearing world. Although lip reading is not 100% effective, the child will be able to understand the gist of most English-spoken conversations given attention to. Both opportunities present potential for bonding as there can be a common language between deaf and hearing split families.